Joining us now, the great Landon Donovan. Thank you for coming on the pod here. Best thing about American soccer and the worst thing about American soccer?
I mean, that's a big question.
I know, exactly. Could be on the field, could be off the field, could be big thing, little thing.
Well, I don't want to get in trouble here, so I
That's
tend to do that
here,
when I
Landon.
speak.
We
Yeah,
get in trouble.
when I
This is
talk to
part
you,
of
I
the
get in
entire
trouble.
Show.
Best thing about American soccer is, I think it's diversity. Worst thing about American soccer is probably the fractured landscape, especially the fractured youth landscape.
See, there you go. You're not going to get in trouble for that.
I'm canceled, baby.
Ah, you're good. You're uncancelable. Joining us now, my friend, our former colleague when it comes to Fox, and just one of the great American soccer players in history. Proud Ohioan, is that what you say over
Ohio.
there? Brad Friedel, as I live and breathe, my friend. Give me the best part about American soccer and the worst part about American soccer.
The worst part's the easy one. It's the political setup. I'm not going to go down this rabbit hole too much, but you know what I'm talking. Don't look at me like that. I'll leave that to you.
So the Federation?
No. The political landscape that is like within the youth soccer world.
Where they're fighting the fiefdoms and the soccer wars with the Z and
they're fighting with, like, thinking that their amateur club that is pay as you play is better than a free of charge professional club, and then they fight against it. And there's a lot at the younger ages, a lot of fighting. Like
ego and money.
It's
and
just it's just a mess.
Right.
Like, and that I think that's the worst part, because as soon as you could fix it in one state, another state gets worse. And you got the populated states, you got California, you got Texas, you got down the Florida areas and stuff, that there's so many good players. There really is. And getting the good coaches and infrastructure in gets blocked a lot. I think that's the worst. The best is that we are a country, if you look around the world, maybe India, if they could ever get it, that has the highest ceiling of potential for growth with a developed country for a sport, and I just do not see it slowing down for a long time. I do some work with investment groups purchasing clubs. I mean, they want to know everything it is. They want the multi-club system, but America, what's going to go on? 2020, you got Club World Cup, you got World Cup, you got the women's game, and then don't get me started. The women's game is enormous for teams. I mean, look what's going on in the Premier League now, and then they look back to America. So I think the best thing about U.S. soccer right now is the growth potential in so many areas, and people around the world are taking in not small little notices, like the amount of scouts that come over here from the Bundesliga and from Premier League. It used to be, well, let's get them into Czech Republic or Poland, see how they do. A small team in Holland, see how they do before we go. The big boys are coming over here to try to get players and coaches and technical staff and medical staff at younger ages, and when their careers are just starting, so they don't have to pay the top dollar for them. I think that's really exciting for the country as a whole.
Randy Waldrum joins us here. Pitt, Nigeria, all sorts of things. Give me the best and the worst thing about American soccer. It could be on the field or off the field, but
yeah, pay to play.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think
That's the best.
No. I think that's the worst. I think. We've been fortunate over the years to see the growth of the game.
Mm-hmm.
So we're in such a different place with the growth and the talent pool that we're putting out and the player. So the best part of it is, with such a large country, we have players. People that tell us we don't have enough good players to compete for a World Cup in the men's side, or to continue to be the best in the world on the women's side, that everybody's catching up. Well, we still have enough players and talent and enough good coaches in this country, if it's harnessed the right way, to achieve those goals, right? And it kind of upsets me when people say, well, the world's catching up on the women's side. Well, what the world is doing is they're now investing more money. Spain's invested more money, the Dutch, the French, all the top teams. England, they're just now starting to invest money, whereas the U.S. was doing it earlier. So that's why they're catching up. It doesn't mean their players are becoming better and better. I could go through a list of young players, for you right now, like a Jaden Shaw, that's going to be a great star for our national teams, and we have a pipeline of that. But I think our infrastructure is not right. You know, I think the way our scouting system on the women's side, now I can't speak to the men's because I don't know it well enough, but on the women's side, I can sit here and honestly say some of the scouts we have, I look at them and go, what have you done to be able to be identifying players? You haven't ever been at that level. You don't know what it takes to play. And I think then club soccer is a nightmare. I mean, it's as good as there are so many clubs around, you're just fighting for players and fighting for results, and players are hopping from club to club. So I think that system is a nightmare. Pay to play, parents now aren't accountable. The kid's not getting playing time. They just jump. Players don't learn anymore how to go, I have to grind this out and get better. I'm not playing because I got to get better, right? And so it's easy to just go somewhere else and put on a different jersey and play. So there's a lot of infrastructure things that I think we've got wrong, and I don't know how to solve it because these clubs are making so much money. Yeah. They're not going to give up. You know, they're never going to come together. Real quick, and I know we don't have a lot of time, but interesting, when I went out to Germany for the World Cup in Germany, we did a coaching course with the NSCA over there, and they took us to the federation and kind of discussed their system. But over there, the coaches are so player development oriented. If you have a youth player that plays for Schalke, a youth team, and you're in the second division, and you're coaching a team in Bayern, you push your player to him if he wants them. You just, even if it's outside the club, we're pushing our best players forward. Here, you can't even in a club, you can't even get an age group within your own club to push a player up because it affects that coach's team. You know, like, it's just all kinds of things like that. I just think we've got to really, you know, we had a 10-year plan 10 years ago to get us to this point. It's time to really have another plan to prepare for the next 2 World Cups away, you know, on the men and women's side.
I have a legend here in Peter Wilt. Yes, you have your own ideas. I want to hear some of those right now as to here as we sit in this new year in 2024. The good and the bad of American soccer. I know it's a big question, but I'm just going to start it out like that and let you go.
Well, the good is that the sport has never been as strong, as healthy, as broad as it is now. It's incredible. If you think back where it was 10 years ago and then would have thought how many teams, for better or worse, how many leagues, the quality, not just the quantity, of these leagues, teams, and players and coaches, I don't think anyone would have predicted it. So I think it's all wonderful. The flip side of it is, and I'm a contributor to this, there's these soccer wars going on. It's not united. Whatever the opposite of united is, right. It's divided. And I suppose in some ways that creates competition, and competition ultimately is supposed to, through evolution, lead to a better product. So I hope that's where this all gets us, but we're in such a crazy moment right now with people with different ideas, myself included, that there's not this unified direction forward.
All right, that was interesting, and thank you to everybody that came on with us and told us their best and worst thing. We'll also have another super clip in our show later on this week with Carly and Mo and Warren and all the different folks that we had out there. Myself and Carly and Mo Adu and Warren Barton and Landon Donovan all did a panel there about what's going to come this summer with Fox's plans to give everybody a little peek behind the curtain as to what we are going to do with the Copa America and Euros, basically sunrise to sundown soccer when it comes to Fox and what we are doing. Mosse, if I asked you the same question, give me the best and worst thing about American soccer, what would you say?
The best would be the untapped potential still. Virtually all the top soccer nations around the world have reached a point where they kind of are what they are, while the U.S. still has such upside. The U.S. is sort of a LeBron circa 2004 as a soccer nation, where there's so much room to grow still. The worst, I don't know if it's the worst, but something I don't love sometimes is the discourse on social media. In general, sports media now, it's become too much this prism of courage and cowardice, while it should be a prism of smart and stupid. I think, too many people get credit for just being hypercritical, and that shows that you're willing to go after people, but a lot of times the criticisms don't make any sense. So we've made a virtue out of just being loud and criticizing people we act like that's a virtue in and of itself.
Well, I dare not ask you where you put me on that spectrum, or what side you put me on in terms of smart. Stupid. So if someone were to ask me, and I'll finish up our segment with this, best and worst. When it comes to the worst, and I've often talked about this, and it doesn't apply to everybody, but it certainly applies to a lot. And I will raise my hand. This certainly applies to me at times. The insecurity that we have, the inferiority complex that we talk about that is legendary, the seemingly not just evergreen, but almost need to eat our own and or apologize for what we aren't as a soccer nation, either from what we were doing on and off the field. And I guess all that culminates into these soccer wars with a Z. I think that they take a tremendous amount of effort and time and resources that could be spent so much better on other things. I don't necessarily agree with you in terms of the criticism and the analysis and the debate and even the cynicism out there. I don't think that in and of itself is problematic. So that's the worst thing. The best thing is, and it maybe is the yin and the yang of us as American soccer members of the community out there, is this unique and quirky American soccer culture that has risen out of obscurity and out of the niche, and it's passionate, it's vibrant, it's discerning, it is intelligent, and I would even argue more intelligent than many cultures out there, probably out of necessity. And I ultimately believe that it is something to grab hold on, not just internally, and to harness it and to own it, but even externally. I think it's going to become more and more attractive as we continue to grow. And I guess it goes back to your point about the potential that America has both on and off the field. And there's a reason why so many around the world, and you saw it at the convention, continue to look to America. There is gold in them their hills, and there is growth in them their hills. And people want to mine it from the outside. We should want to mine it from the inside. But if and when we do it, it's always going to be uniquely American, and that is never a bad thing.
Can I just second what you said? I had a great time down there. Everybody was super friendly. I didn't stick around for the panel. My goal was to be on the 405 by 405.
And you were.
Which I achieved. But yeah, it is funny, this sort of like quasi level of fame I have now. When I'm next to you and somebody comes up for a picture, it's 50-50 whether they want me in it or taking it. And sometimes I misread the body language. I'm like, of course you can have a picture. And then they hand me the camera. Like, okay, just make sure you get Alexi and I vertical and horizontal.
Ladies and gentlemen, David Mosse is not framing this correctly. He is a star. People love him. They want to hang out with him. They want to pick his brain. He is a reluctant star, I will give you that. But he's becoming a little bit more comfortable as we go along with the notoriety and I guess the fame that has come with this. And I love it. It makes me so happy when people recognize you in a positive way. And 99.999% is positive in terms of the interactions that you have. I hope I'm not speaking for you here, but it shows how important you are to what we do here, and also shows how this has grown year after year after year. So it was fun to see him in the midst of all of these soccer people in tracksuits as far as the eye can see, and all sorts of booths that are selling this and that, some huge brands and some tiny little brands, people that are built millions and millions of dollars into it, and people are just starting out as new entrepreneurs, if you will, in the soccer market, all brought together because of the love of the game and because of, again, that potential that we talk about in the U.S.
Did you enjoy the lunch that Aaron Schechter got you? She made a run to the food truck, got everybody food except me. So I was wondering how.
You didn't get anything? Yeah, I enjoyed it. It was really good. But you should expect that from her. I mean, listen, she's a tough nut to crack. But this whole production goes away without her. So do not irritate her, please.
On a serious note, it was great to have her there and Kyla and Sean Sullivan. And just see the crew sort of out of their element, out of the studio.
They did a great job. And as you can hear, you can hear the quality and what they did, both in terms of the audio and the video. And they worked their ass off and set us up. And again, it takes a village, my friends. So it was fun. Thanks also again to Mo and Warren and Carly and Landon Donovan for participating in that panel. They were all wonderful. It was couple hundred people, jam-packed, and it was really fun to hear about the way that they're thinking about this summer, which is so important. You like that clip? Well, my State of the Union podcast drops twice a week right here on my very own YouTube page. The only way to stay up to date is to hit that subscribe button down below. Size the day, and see you soon.